Hey, what's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to do a couple different things. I'm going to show you how to replace elements in the DOM, how to remove elements, how to work with classes, how to manipulate classes and attributes, meaning that I want to show you how to get attributes in classes, how to change them, how to add them, remove them, and so on. Alright, so let's start with replacing elements. So I'm going to say replace element, and what I want to do is I want to replace this H5 right here with an H2, okay, with some different text. So first thing we'll do is create an element. We've already seen how to do this. We'll create a variable, I'll call it new heading, and let's set this to document dot create element, and let's make this an H2. Okay, and we can console.log it down here if we want, just to see what we have so far. And we just have an H2. Alright, let's go ahead and add an ID. This H5 has an ID of, I believe it's task title. Yeah, task title. So we'll go ahead and do that by saying new heading dot ID equals task dash title. Alright, now what we want to do is create a new text node, or add a new text node by saying new heading dot append child. Okay, we want to append inside of it, and then to create a text node we do document dot create text node, and then whatever text we want. I'm just going to say task list. Okay, so that will create the element. If I save that, you can see it down here. Now we want to get we'll get the old heading, or the heading we want to replace. So we'll say const old heading equals document dot, and let's use get element by ID. We haven't really used that. It has an ID of task dash title. Now we're going to need a parent because we're going to use something called replace child, and we need to call that on the parent. Now this H5 is inside of a div with the class of card action, so let's go ahead and do that. So we'll say parent, and we'll call this card action, and we'll set it to document dot query selector, and it's a class, so dot card action, and then let's do the replace. So to do that we'll say card action dot replace child, put in what we want to replace it with, which is the new heading, and then what we want to replace, which is the old heading, and save. And now you can see that now we have an H2 here with the ID of task title and the text node of task list. Alright, so it's as easy as that to replace something. Now I want to show you how to remove something. So let's go down here. I'm actually going to just get rid of that console log, and we'll say remove element. So what I'm going to do is create a variable for the LIs, the list items. So we're going to use document dot query selector all, and we'll say we want all the list items. I'm also going to create a variable for the list itself, for the UL. So document dot query selector, and that's going to be UL. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to remove a specific list item. Okay, so we have this LIs. So remember, when we use query selector all, we can access the elements with, like, LIs 0 would be the first one. So let's say LIs dot 0 dot remove, and save, and that went ahead and removed the first list item. Alright, so it's as easy as that to remove. Just call the remove method. Now you can also remove by child. So if we say remove child element, what I'm going to do is take the list, which is the UL, and we're going to just say dot remove child, and let's put in here we want to remove li's 2 or 3 and save, and now that removed the third one, which was actually the fourth one down because they're 0 based. Alright, so we can do remove. We can also do remove child. Alright, so now what I want to do is take a look at classes and attributes. Alright, so what I'll do is create a variable here. I'm going to call it first li, and I just want to get the first list item here. So we're going to say document dot query selector, and we're going to get li first child. Okay. Now the element that I want to work with is actually the a tag. The a tag that's around this icon right here. So remember, we can do console.log. So if we do first li, that gives us the list item. I want the a tag that's inside of it, which is a child. So it's actually the first child. So we can do dot children 0 and save, and that gives us the a tag. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this into a variable. So we'll say const link and set that. Okay, so now we have the link to work with. So what I'm going to do is set our val variable, because I'm going to want to console log a bunch of things just to kind of show you. So let's say val equals, and the first thing I want to look at is class name, which we have used before, but what this does is it just gives us a string of the classes. So if we save that, you can see it has a class of delete item and secondary content. If we look at the link right here, that's the two classes that it has. So that's what class name does. Now we also have class list. So if we say val equals link dot class list, that gives us not an array, it's actually a DOM token list, but it's set up like an array where we have 0 for the first one, 1 for the second one, and so on. Alright, we can access these individually. If we say link dot class list 0 and save, we get delete item. Alright, now we can also add a class using class list. So if we say link dot class list dot add, and let's put in here test. Alright, and then we'll console, we'll just set val. So we'll set val equals to link, and let's see what that gives us. And you can see that there's now a test class in there. Okay, so we were able to add a class like that. We can also remove a class. I'm going to copy this, and we're going to say instead of add test, we're going to remove test. And now you can see it's gone. Alright, so you can easily add and remove classes this way. So now let's take a look at attributes. Actually, I'm going to put a comment here. Say classes, attributes. Alright, so we're going to continue to work with this link variable. So let's say val equals link, and then we have a method called get attribute. Alright, we can get a specific attribute. Let's get the href. Okay, and that gives us the hash. Now we can also set it. So if we say val equals, and let's do link dot set attribute, and we'll set the href to http google.com and save. And now if I go and I click the first link here, it takes us to Google. Alright, so we were able to edit that attribute. So we can also check to see if there is an actual attribute. So if we say link dot has attribute, and we test for href and save, we get true. If we search for title attribute, which it doesn't have one, we get false. Alright, now if we wanted to add a title attribute, we could do that. We could say, actually we don't need to do val, we'll just do link dot set attribute, I think we've already done this, but we'll set title to Google. Save. Now we get true. All right, and if we want to just console.log or just say val equals link, so we can see what that looks like, and you can see it's going to Google. It also has the title of Google. Okay, now if we want to remove an attribute, we can do that as well. So we could say link dot remove attribute, and let's remove the title and save, and now there's no longer a title. All right, so you can do whatever you want with the classes, the attributes, and so on. All right, so hopefully this helped you guys out a little bit to understand how to replace things, remove things, deal with some of these attributes for these elements, and that's it. I will see you in the next video.